My name is John Solwin. I'm an alumni of Cabrini at the class of 2011 and 2013, and I'm the Assistant Director of Admissions. So I think the testing process is a disadvantage for some students because of access. Not all students have access to things like SAT preps, ACT preps, tutors, and being able to afford and take the test.
I would say that the testing process is way more difficult. The cost is a big factor. In Philadelphia, the ACT is actually provided in one test sitting for each student, which makes it a little bit less of a factor, and it's then included in their curriculum, so they actually do test prep within their curriculum. What's difficult is typically it's a college counselor that does test prepping, and most schools in the inner cities have 1 to 800 students, which that ratio is just impossible to actively test prep. For students of different learning abilities and disadvantages, again, I don't consider the tests all have accommodations, but I think the big thing is that students need to find a school that's going to fit for them beyond whatever the testing requirements are. And there's so much more than the test, and above you there's a button up there that says I am more than a test score, and that's gonna my big thing is there's just so much more that goes into the process than the test scores, and students can realize that, but they don't always know that if they don't have somebody telling them that.
The other disadvantage for students, it just could be a student's having a bad day, there's issues at home, a stressful week at school, they had a lot of tests already, and by putting their college career on a test really eliminates a lot of options for good students.
I did an interview with expert James Monks on his case study called Making SAT Scores Optional in Selective College Admissions. This study is about applicants who held their scores because of lower average GPA than those who have submitted their standardized test results.
I mean, there's clearly differences in results on average across race, and I think those differences ought to be taken into account. So I think it's more in how you view and interpret the results rather than just in the test taking itself. It's redesigned it this year. There's a new version of it. Right, just came out last week was the first test taking of that. They redesigned it, well, I don't know, 6 years ago maybe, I'm guessing, with the writing component. Right, it used to be 2. I'm sure when you took it there was 3 pieces, right? So when I took it there were 2. Now that was way a long time ago, but so they're constantly kind of revamping it, and I think and I think they have moved in this direction. You know, the test that's more closely linked with high school curriculum is a step in the right direction, but I don't think it fundamentally gets around the problem that, you know, you have one large high stakes test, and when that's the case, the rich kids will get the advantages of prep, you know, test prep courses that you talked about. And you know, more and more schools like your own are becoming SAT optional, and most of them, what they're doing is they're letting students substitute different things for the SAT test. So it might be SAT or 2 AP test, or SAT or ACT or IB, or, you know, some kind of different combination of materials. And I think that's good when you allow students to kind of put their best foot forward. Then I think that's helpful.
I think SAT optional will definitely affect colleges for the better. Here at Cabrini, we've already seen a huge impact of great students that maybe necessarily didn't feel comfortable submitting their test scores to Cabrini, but did very well over 4 years. And we saw it last year with the class of 2019, and we're definitely seeing a huge impact this year with the class of 2020.